Hey guys, what's up? Landon Harvey. I'm here in my workshop / garage, and today I'm going to be making a puppet foam tongue. We're using this 1-inch reticulated foam. It's really great. It's also called dry fast foam, so you can look that up. And I am making it for this chicken puppet. This is an old puppet, but it still looks pretty goofy and cartoony, and I love this character. And I still use it for shows and walk-arounds sometimes. So I'm updating what I had before was just a basic felt tongue, and I'm gonna take this foam tongue and sculpt it. Now I know that chickens typically have, well, and I'm kind of just drawing it out, a narrow tongue. So I am drawing that out, and then getting my base design here. Now this is kind of a cream color foam. This will eventually be dyed pink, and we're gonna highlight it, but you'll have to stay till the end of the video to see that. So, I'm gonna take this, I've got my basic template, and you can actually, take paper and make a little template and then trace it. I just kind of eyeball it because I've been doing this for so long. Now this is actually gonna be a little bit bigger, so we'll probably end up trimming the ends just to even it out, but I wanted to get my generic shape. So then I'm gonna cut all my edges off that I know I'm not gonna need. I can actually cut down the tongue significantly here. And then cut this like so. And now I've got a pretty rough shape. It kind of looks like a heart. A lot of the tongues I do look like hearts. Now I'm gonna place this. I like the size of the tongue. In terms of the width, I'm gonna shave all of this down. I'm probably gonna end up getting a little bit over 1/2 inch. Now you could say, Landon, why don't you start with 1/2 inch? It's not enough foam. I like to have the tongue with little curves. So what I do is I go around the border of the tongue here. And the cool thing about this is if you can't dye it, you can also cover it in fabric and it'll last longer if you're building a puppet for yourself or for a friend or a client. And I'm just gonna go here. I cut into this edge, this little line that I make, and then I score it later, like that. If I snip into these areas right here, the tongue will look like the tip is perched up more, and it'll give the illusion that whenever the mouth is open, the tongue is actually in movement. So versus just having it be like a flat tongue with its shaved. So I kind of do that where I leave the tip of the tongue a little bit thicker, and then I shave down the sides. I hold this open, and this is the inside of the tongue, that line that's on your tongue and that they put in a lot of the cartoons, and I just ever so slightly smoothen that edge. Pull that out, then I go to the other side with my scissors. These are just fabric scissors. I use them for foam as well, just because I like how crisp they are and how they cut. So, here we go. I like to place the tongue within the mouth and see how it feels with the grip. I also like to move around. I can already notice that the tongue is way too thick for this chicken. Right. So I need to cut it almost in half. So I set the head down. I'm gonna go back in here, and this is the top. So I'm going from the bottom here, and I'm just gonna take off enough to where it'll smoothen that down and allow when I hit it with my special hot glue to sit, okay? So I'm just taking that down. Gotta place it back in my chicken mouth here. Now, typically what I do on a puppet is I add foam to the edge of the mouth. That way it'll give the mouth depth and you can put the tongue in there. This tongue is still too thick, okay? It looks good, but it's still too thick. So what I'm gonna do is, you have two options here. You can keep continuing to cut down the bottom until you reach the top a little bit more, or you can go at it from the top and just smoothen it. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go from the top to smoothen it. Now it's important if you're going from the top that you don't want to smoothen it too much that you can see through the tongue or whatever, even when it's dyed. So I go from the top, look at it, examine it, and then I go back to the bottom, and I see where I maybe messed up or I didn't look quite enough. And I figure, okay, I can take that area off. And if you have a sanding belt, that's even better for these types of projects. But I just do it all with my pair of handy dandy scissors. Let's see if this works. This is a lot better. I think this is the winner. Let's see. And I know I'm gonna glue this I glue it in the back 2 points and in the down front, so I like that. I'm gonna bevel the sides a little bit more, and then I'm gonna show you what it looks like once it's dyed. It's called Transparent Createx Airbrush Colors. You can put it in an airbrush and airbrush it onto different surfaces, but I just pour a little bit on, and then I kind of squeeze it around and dye it. You wanna make sure that if you're gonna do that, you pour it around evenly, otherwise certain areas will dye darker. All right, here we go. All right, so now I have my tongue. Now, I had a little bit left of this pink that I used on this. So usually, if you use more of the dye, you're gonna get a darker tongue. But that's okay, because this chicken looks kind of sickly, so I'm okay with the light pink on that tongue. I think it looks fine. I think especially from afar, it contrasts fine. It doesn't need to be darker than that. I have had certain puppets and projects where I want the tongue to be a little bit more extreme. On my character, Bill the Zombie, you'll see that his tongue's a little bit darker, and but you can do these highlights. So I have this Sharpie here, and I just do a highlight on the tongue in the middle area, and you can do this too. I just lightly brush the Sharpie along the tongue. And what this does is this creates that shadowing that you would naturally get if you were, watching it. You'd see in a cartoon character would have, this type of shadowing. I just kind of shadow it, follow it back to the back. As you can see, you already see how it's coming together. Now that shadowing looks very harsh in comparison to the tone of this. That's because I usually use more dye on this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this, my paper towel, and just lightly dab off some of the layers. And then I hit it with a hair dryer. Now you'll see that when I place it in the mouth, it looks pretty good. Look. And it's not even glued in yet. So I'm gonna glue it, put a dot of hot glue there, and there. That way if I ever need to take the tongue out, I can, to replace it, or if I wanna do something different. But the tongue is thin enough where it can be squished, because the mouth is just 2 plates. But when it opens, you've got some depth. So when you have the body of the chicken together, look. Lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely. The only one that calls me is the Colonel. I want to talk to the Colonel. All right. But then I'm gonna glue this in. Okay. All right. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for tuning in for this quick build. Okay. And, comment below if you have any questions or things that you want to see on future build videos.